Yeah, let's start.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, thanks for the patience getting started here. My name is Kenny Johns. I'm the founder of Ample. Got a whole awesome team, which we'll get into in a minute. But basically, what we're focused on is tokenizing intellectual property, very similar to what people are doing with real world assets. We're doing with IP. So essentially, what we're doing is really working towards basically creating a supportive substrate and an engagement layer for intellectual property moving forward to the next 5 to 10 years. And so what that does is really going to unlock all the opportunities and possibilities to access global IP markets and really kind of taking intangible IP that's not accessible and can't really be monetized properly yet, and really kind of creating a more tangible real world asset with that via blockchain. In short, we make IP holders, brands, and creators money. Mainly what we're focused on is allowing brands and creators to access global networks. IP markets are very fragmented. I'll get into how I kind of know that. But IP markets are very fragmented. And so that's really kind of the big problem that we're fixing. We're fixing legal issues, engagement issues, IP fragmentation issues, payment issues and settlements and splits and all that kind of stuff, but mainly just giving brands, creators access to global user bases and creating engagement layers. We already have a bunch of partners. I won't go into that because we don't have a lot of time, but you can check out the deck for more. Happy to answer questions too offline about that. We have a lot of traction going on. We have a live beta DApp, and we've begun streaming, merch, NFT launches already. We've got, the deck says 30 plus partners, but we've actually been onboarding a lot more, so it's more like 40 or 50 right now. 40 that have signed LOIs, 50 coming on, so we have a lot more. We have a big enterprise client, Caracol Television. We've went through accelerators, we've built legal protocols. We have, a couple marketplaces and strategic partnerships, which obviously we need to keep building more. We were featured in Bases on Chain Summer, and we are now in early revenue generation stage. So we actually have started generating revenue, which is pretty awesome to finally say that after so much time. And so now I'll get into a little bit of like where I come from really quick. I used to work at National Geographic, Discovery Channel. I was just featured as one of the top 100 innovators in the DC area at Startup Week 3 weeks ago, I think at this point. But basically, I come from IP. So I worked in that space. I know all the problems. I scaled a startup. I scaled a small business right before I got into Ample, and really kind of understand that whole space and all the problems. My co-founder's big into the creator economy. He's deployed well over 50 smart contracts at this point. And he's just been, we kind of met 2-3 years ago and had a really good relationship, and we've been building this ever since. As Sheldon mentioned earlier in the chat, he's one of our advisors. He's awesome. We have so many other great advisors from the music space, the film space, obviously blockchain, and we have like even KOLs. We've got great community managers. We've got a legal counsel, obviously, and we've won hackathons, accelerators. We've been in the space. Basically, again, this is the problem that we're solving. IP market is fragmented. We fix all these payment, IP issues, everything. But this is essentially at the point that I think everybody should remember. And I'm making sure to save this kind of to the last. We'll have a lot more time for questions, and there's plenty more on the deck, but this is essentially what we're building. We're building a consumer-facing DApp. We'll have modular tools and enterprise-level tech that businesses can use. And then the big win for the future is really building out this application layer protocol that distributes the IP and media across all marketplaces, chains, and transmedia platforms. And I'll stop there because that's my time.
Thanks for the pitch. Guys, please, if you have any questions, raise your hand or put your question here in the chat. You skipped the part of like with your partners. Maybe you can explain it a bit more.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think, so I'll just go down to the GTM slide because that's probably a little more relevant. But basically, through our partners, launch partners, right? So we have two different types of partners, strategic partners and launch partners. The strategic partners would essentially be like create AI brands that want to tokenize that AI. And then the other part would be like marketplaces and then streaming platforms, right? Because we will distribute. So we already have streaming functionality and legal tech and things, but we will also distribute to other streaming platforms, marketplaces, and help AI brands basically create a provenance layer for AI created IP. And then the other side is that it's our actual launch partners. So those are creators, enterprise brands. So the big one is Caracol Television. And then we have other creators that have anywhere between, some have, as small as 10,000 aggregate followers, and then others have up to like 1 million, right? And so then what they're doing is they're essentially trying to capitalize on a very small percentage of their user base, right? And that's how we help them generate revenue. But what we're trying to do is create small circular economies that then kind of create flywheel effects for the bigger platforms, marketplaces, and obviously Ample.
Thanks. Yeah, got you. Guys, any questions?
Yes, this is Azam. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Thank you, Kenny, for the presentation. I have a few questions. So what is your competitive product in terms of like other companies and projects out there that they're exactly doing the same? And how much are you raising? And is it a token or equity? And where is the jurisdiction that you have registered a company?
Okay, so that's 3, right? So competitive analysis, how much we're raising, jurisdiction. Well, technically 4, because you want to know, competitive advantages, jurisdiction, type of raise, and amount of raise. So essentially, right now, the big one that we're compared to is Story Protocol. And I'll just kind of go there because, you can see I've included a few others over here, but we'll talk about Story because that's the big one, right? They raised 140 million backed by A16Z. We probably are, that is arguably our closest competitor. The difference of what we're doing, and I think the competitive advantage that we have, is they're building an L1. Right, so they are essentially like more like a moat-based model when you think about it, right? Like they want people to build on their L1. They want dApps. They want everything, right? So it's a little bit of a different business model. I mean, we're creating an application layer protocol, so we're chain agnostic. So we can essentially work with a lot more people and fast. We can change dynamically and we can create bridges. And once those kind of distribution bridges are built, we think that that's really going to be our competitive advantage long term. Second answer is we're raising 2.5 million. Third answer is that can be a combination. For bigger checks, we can do equity and token warrants. Smaller checks, we do SAFs. And then, so yes, there is going to be a token. That's the other question. So I think there were technically 5. And then the last one is where we have jurisdiction, and that's Wyoming and BVI.
Thank you. But I'm still actually not convinced in terms of what is your competitive advantage. What is the difference between, I understand the layers and chain agnostic, but how, because it might be very difficult for you to attract the users. So I just want to know, what is it that your makes you outstanding versus other projects?
Yeah, so I think it makes us easier to attract users because, the reality is, and that is why we're attracting so many launch partners. Like, we honestly can't keep up with the amount of launch partners that we have already. Like, because we're such a small team. But the reality is that we're ready to, we already have the consumer facing product ready to go. So like brands and creators and everybody that wants to launch can launch immediately. They don't need to, once we scale up our team, it'll be a lot faster, but we're ready to launch. Whereas a lot of these other protocols and platforms are still kind of building out the tech, or they're more of like a soft infra layer, that they want people to build on top of them and use their layers. So there, you need to wait. You have that deployment time, whereas we don't have that deployment time. We're ready to launch faster. And that there's a lot more to it, by the way. I'm just trying to be mindful of time.
Yeah, thanks, Azam. I hope Kenny answered your question. Yeah, and there is a comment from Sheldon here in the chat. From a tech perspective, the costs and risks Ample utilizes are more flexible to meet compliance and streaming cost imbalances. And most competitors are dependent on walled garden or modes like Story.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Sheldon. And we got...
Sheldon, I love it.
What unique advantages do your modular tools offer to IP holders compared to existing solutions?
Yep, good question, actually. So the idea here, right, and this is why we have, and I'll go back to that slide really quick just so y'all can see it. because I think this is based on a lot of research. We've done thousands of interviews and like tons of like onboarding conversations, right? And so essentially there are three main issues. And the first one is having something that's ready to deploy for brands and creators. That's the consumer facing dApp. The next one is, how do we launch our project? How do we have compliant IP, analytics, AI creator functionality, in case, what are they missing, right? Because a lot of projects come and they're still missing an element. And then licensing, how do they write these contracts? How is that IP enforceable? And so there's essentially a middle layer to what we're building, and those modular tools really help, that's what's going to help a brand or even an entity like Caracol or somebody else that's not familiar with the Web3 space understand how to launch compliantly. And so essentially the advantages are we help people stay protected and actually have enforceable intellectual property. We have a couple other tools that are potentially going to be integrated soon, but I don't want to talk about those because they're not ready yet. But the reality is a lot of people don't understand how to actually launch in the Web3 space yet, and they don't understand how to create legally compliant, basically functionality gates for their users, right? So that's actually what those modular tools do.
Thanks. Thank you, Kenny. Thanks, guys, for your questions. Proceed with the next project. Arnold, are you here?
Hi, everyone. I'm Arnold. I am the founder of Lighthouse, and we're a governance laboratory. And our mission is to help bring the world on-chain through the lens of on-chain governance. So we have two apps that are already live, a native iOS and Android app that allows people to vote on governance proposals. So the problem that we see in blockchain is that on-chain organizations require a unique set of tools to navigate governance. Now, at the moment, we only think about governance through the lens of voting. But in reality, for anyone who's participated in governance, we can actually we define the governance stack as 5 categories: ideation, discourse, voting, allocation, and accountability. So these are 5 domains that are, in our opinion, severely underfunded, and we're trying to stitch them together. So we're going to go through how we're going to bring this all together. Now, if we look at this stack expanded, it's very clear to see that all the different channels are quite diverse. And as a result of these diverse or fragmentation, it's actually very hard for anyone who is involved in multiple on-chain protocols or communities or apps to actually stay on top and participate in their governance needs. And with crypto, it's all supposed to be interoperability, how we're supposed to connect between all these various different protocols. At the moment, we're doing a very bad job of it. So when we look at industry leaders who've analyzed this over the last 3 to 5 years, it's pretty obvious, there's lack of coordination, so many misalignment of interest, people who, we've got the delegate wars, curve wars, there's so many DAO dramas that happen, but this is all the result of a failure to coordinate effectively. So how can we improve it? At Lighthouse, our first entry into the market is synthesizing all this disparate information across all the different EVMs, all the different protocols, and delivering a uniform interface, again, available on both iOS and Android, so that anyone who has governance tokens can engage with their DAOs in a normal thread-like feed. So the information that you see here is all surfaced from on-chain data, and it's trustless. And we've got additional protocols to further drive this forward. But for now, I think this is a real stepwise improvement in terms of how people can engage with protocols, specifically governance. Now, there's a lot of things that we've learned in the last 24 months. So we've been in stealth, building out all the different tools. We've got our own custom indexes, and this is primarily due to performance reasons. My background is in engineering. I've brought over 10 to 15 startups to life and exited a couple of them as well. And there's lots of things we can talk about, but the most important thing is, how are people receiving this product so far? And after 3 months of the product being in the market and us showcasing it to people in various communities such as Nouns, Optimism, Safe, we're getting a lot of positive feedback. But one of the things that I guess is a blocker for us to raise money, is, driving people to actually use it. And we'll talk about our business model in a second. So we believe that the market best aligned to explain the trajectory of how to value our company is the SaaS market. So if we think about how in the early 2000s, MailChimp, Salesforce, they were delivering operation efficiencies to standardize emails. We're going to be doing the same thing for blockchain communications. And we know this is going to be interesting because the target customers, they have money to spend. We've been speaking to all the big DAOs, Uniswap, Gnosis. They all have treasuries that exceed 100 million, and they have people who communicate on protocol governance that is very high net worth. So, we are looking to try and capture 5% of the market by our seed. We're currently raising our pre-seed, and we've price tested this with some of the DAOs at a monthly subscription cost between 15 and 25K per month. Now, we're acting on a lot of different insights, and our research into the market, even though we have low growth at the moment, we believe that we're an enterprise company. And as such, it's going to take a long time for us to build up the branding and the reputation to drive the traffic required to push our platform forward. I'll wrap up really quickly. Yeah, we're an experienced team, 15 years in the industry. My co-founder's from Kraken Bread. And yeah, we've all worked together for nearly 2 years now, 3 million pre-seed safe.
Yeah, thank you, Arnold. And we've got the question here in the chat. Can you share how integration with services like Snapshot enhances the governance experience for users?
Yes, for sure. So I can actually even bring up a little demo for you. So we integrate with Snapshot via their APIs. We are also now working to build our own indexer with their new Snapshot X platform. We've written our own custom indexers for the governor variants. So by variants, I mean governor alpha, governor agora, governor bravo. And by doing so, we can tack on to the on-chain notifications, specifically the events. So if you're following a DAO as a member, you can actually get real-time push notifications for when certain activity happens. Now, this is really topical because, say, for example, in the recent compound governor hack, or I guess vote that was aggressive, our platform would have been able to surface that there was a huge swing in the votes at the last minute, because we would have had the ability to sort of understand when that vote was injected and how the majority swung. So that's an example of how it would enhance our mobile platform, would enhance it. And I guess we just also won a SAFE grant. So at the moment, we're in the process of delivering the first and only ability to vote using your Gnosis SAFE on mobile. So that if you're a delegate voting on governance proposals, that's greatly going to enhance your experience, because that's not even possible at the moment.
Thanks, Arnold. Another question, who would be proper partner or partners?
Okay, yeah, to answer that question, our partners would be really any DAOs. We would act as a service provider to them. And one thing that I didn't get to is that we've actually got a back of house system. So given that we deliver a lot of value for all your DAO members following your space, because of that sort of interaction, we can actually for the first time give you or DAOs the ability to message all their constituents in a targeted messaging format. So it's actually not possible to do it at the moment. You can only airdrop NFTs, which will probably get flagged as spam. You can send direct messages to their wallets, which they have to read on chain with hexadecimal. So we actually provide a novel channel for you to communicate with your holders, and this is quite appealing to a lot of DAOs.
Tell us how and why will you succeed? Because there are a lot of DAO tools that failed.
Yes, of course. So I think our approach to DAO tooling, so firstly, taking a leaf out of history from the Web2 market, aggregators always win, in my opinion. If you're an individual store or whatever, you eventually get souped up. Just look at Amazon. So the way we've positioned ourselves is that we're so early in the industry. Other platforms or other toolings, they have a very narrow use case in how they want to surface or arrive at a decision. And our platform specifically, we sit above that, and we will integrate with various different protocols as they rise and fall. We've also created our own unique protocol that people are now looking to pilot. We've created a novel sort of conviction-based voting mechanism. It's called Signals. We're looking to potentially pilot it in the Arbitrum DAO. We're a finalist in the recent hackathon. If you can see the demo of that on our Twitter account. So yeah, in terms of how we're going to succeed, we're going to succeed by casting a wide net from a protocol perspective, because there's just so much to do in the space.
Thanks. And who are your competitors exactly?
Okay, in terms of like direct competitors, there is only one application in the market that does mobile voting, and they're called Goverland, but they only do iOS. And they've also been operating for a similar amount of time, but they haven't had as much progress as we've had, given that we've got iOS and Android. And additionally, we also interface with all the custom contracts, whereas at the moment they only interface with Snapshot. So we're already a few leagues ahead, and we're going to continue on that sort of trajectory and development trajectory. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So thank you so much, Arnold, for your pitch. Very interesting. And wish you luck. And let's proceed with the last project for today. Aftab, I saw you before. Are you here?
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys, for the opportunity. So my name is Aftab. I'm actually from India. So we are a team of three. One of my partners is in San Francisco right now. So for the past 1.5 years, we've been building a crypto-powered cross-border payment ecosystem, basically a cross-border remittance app powered by stablecoins, basically. So yeah, just to get ahead to the problem that we're kind of solving. So if you look at the traditional remittance market powered by Web2, we have high costs and inefficiencies, usually because there's a lot of middlemen involved. The traditional payment rails are basically made out of correspondence banking and Swift protocol, basically. And there's a lot of banks that are involved in the entire ecosystem. So they all take a cut in terms of transfer fees and other administrative costs. So what that does is it makes the delivery slow, kind of administrative heavy, and obviously the cost is still there. One of the potential that Web3 can bring in is you can eliminate a lot of the intermediaries by using distributed ledgers and especially the system of stable coins to sort of transfer value from the one country to the other country in the global remittance market. So if you look at the opportunity, it's kind of huge. So currently, Payezy is focusing on the USA to India remittance market. So if we look at the USA to India remittance market, USA is the topmost source, surpassing UAE back in 2020, FY20 and 21. There was about $28 billion of inward remittance to the country from USA alone. That kind of sets the potential market for us to launch. And there's about 2% growth every year that is being projected. So if you look at the service obtainable market, we have a huge market, which is about $28 billion. And of course, there are capital markets involved. There's retail and B2B segment involved. But that's a huge enough pie to sort of give business rationale to kind of launch. So what are we doing? So basically, our app is very simple. We want to bridge the non-native crypto customers to sort of use our app to sort of send money back to their friends and family in India. So we're currently targeting the NRIs, the non-resident Indians who are living in the US, about 5 million of them in the US, who can send money back to their family and friends back in India. So what makes it stand out from the rest of the traditional players, like there's a lot of players like Instagram, Remittances, PayPal, there's Western Union, there's a lot of incumbents who are in the traditional using the traditional payment rails. So what are we offering? So we offer zero fees, and we also offer the best mid-market rate at all times. So basically, whatever you see whatever foreign exchange that you see in Google, that is exactly what you get unlike the other place. So how do we basically set up so this is basically our ecosystem. We have on-ramping and off-ramping partners at both countries. We are tied up with a licensed MTL partner back in the US who has jurisdiction to operate in all 50 states in the in USA. And we are able to maintain treasury pools within both countries. And we particularly use USDC and USDT to sort of hedge the risk and sort of transfer the value. And off-ramping here in India. So we have off-ramping partners who can and banks who are tied up with us to sort of off-ramp the crypto back to the local currency so that we can do the last leg settlement to the beneficiaries. So based on the projections, we just recently launched in October, I think basically 3 weeks ago. So far we've clocked about $11,000 in remittance from about 14 to 15 customers. So the MVP is kind of validated in that sense. So yeah, we're kind of starting to get some revenue. And based on our projections, if we make about $2 million in remittance, we will be net positive in terms of revenue. And so the reason that we are able to do is because there's a particular margin, there's a premium involved for the stablecoin for USDT in India. So we were able to leverage that and get some kind of a margin and keep afloat. So basically a roadmap, what it looks like is to kind of go for, we're open to investment. And as a second phase, we want to enter the Canadian market, the Canada to India market, as well as the UAE to India market as well. And this is our team. We're a team of 3 from India and US. And thanks, guys.
Thank you. We've got some questions here in the chat. I think the first one you answered, but still, if you have no fees, how do your project manage costs while growing the user base? Are you dependent on the 3+ decimal positions for USDX rounding?
Basically our margins come from the premium that is associated with the USDT here in India. So it's a very unique situation that you would find in India. For the past 8 years, we've been seeing that USDT in particular has a high demand, and people even in the exchange market, in the traditional centralized exchange market, as well as the P2P or the OTC counters, they are selling it as a high premium, and the margins are pretty high. So let's say it usually fluctuates between 5 to 8% in margin. But that's a huge enough margin to sort of even to cover our costs and as well as to get some kind of a slim profit. And with scalability, like I said, let's say the minute with the kind of cost that is involved right now, if we are able to scale above 2 million in revenue per month, it's not revenue per se, it's just remittance. We will be net positive.
Thanks. Another question: how does your platform achieve lower costs and better exchange rates compared to traditional remittance providers?
Okay, so like I said, we kind of bypass the traditional banking systems and the fees that are associated with it. So we, in terms of costs that is involved in our payment rail, what we have built, it's the on-ramp vendors and the off-ramp vendors in India, and the way that the strategy that we're trying to use is asynchronous remittance or settlement, basically. So we're able to do large trades, USDT trades, with a large enough margins to off-ramp it in India. we were tied up with 3 to 4 OTC or off-ramping partners in India, which are regulated by the government of India. Of course, there are some, in the past couple of years, people have been, very speculative about the regulations in India in terms of crypto. But 2024, that's kind of changed. The ministry has actually came up with something called as an FIU IND registration for all the crypto companies. So it's sort of a green signal to all the crypto companies and even the international exchanges to come back to India and start operations. And so we had a situation of Binance going banned in India for a couple of months, but they're now back after the registration.
Okay, thanks. Another question. How many users do you estimate you will acquire in the first quarter of the launch?
So we're expecting, this is our first quarter of the launch, and then we're expecting up to about 1,000 users and expecting at least 250,000 in remittance. This would give us enough confidence to sort of cement our presence in the market, and good enough to kind of go for early stage funding.
Okay, thanks. Guys, do you have more questions for Aftab?
I just have a comment. I really like what you're building. I think a huge solution for a lot of importer exporters. My wife loves to shop in Pushkar, and we have a lot of friends in Bali and Thailand and even Nepal with like boutiques, and I'm always just amazed every time I'm there that they're still using Western Union and paying the crazy fees and the crazy I think I lose like 10% just on the conversion rate. It's just ridiculous. So any solution there is certainly a lot of potential customer base just with the many people that go there for purchasing stuff wholesale. Definitely a lot of potential there. Are you looking to expand eventually to Nepal or other countries?
Yeah. Thanks, Peter, for the comment. I appreciate that. So, like you said, the market, the problem still exists, and there's a huge potential for players, especially people from the Web3 space, to get in. Like you said, there's also currently we are into B2C model, but like you said, we are also thinking about doing B2B, trying to reach out to the B2B segment as well, because there's a huge potential there. For example, there are a lot of these. If you look at India, there's a hell lot of companies who do outsourcing for the companies in US. And generally, the companies in the US, they invoice them. The Indian companies, they invoice them, and then they use traditional banks to settle these invoices. All of that can be, channelized through our platform with some additional features like invoice offsetting. That's a possibility as well. So yeah, Nepal. Nepal, these are Bangladesh, these are definitely countries that can be utilized. And even Canada to India, then Dubai is a great. In Dubai, I've been getting a lot of comments from people in Dubai as well. So definitely there's a huge potential.
Certainly a lot of room there for medical tourism too. Like just for instance,
Absolutely.
My wife and I just spent a month in Delhi getting our eyes LASIK surgery, getting crowns, tooth implants. We spent probably $15,000 there, which had to come out of an ATM, which had to pay lots of fees, and you could only pull out $100 or $200 at a time. So certainly a lot of room there for anyone tourist, just trying to get their USDT into Indian rupees. So certainly hope your thing succeeds, because I could certainly use it next time I go, which will probably be next month. So
all right.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
What area in India are you from? Where are you based?
So I'm based out of south of India, a state called as Kerala, which is in the extreme southern part of India. Yeah.
Close enough to Goa. We like it there too.
Oh yeah, lovely. Yeah. And my partner is down in San Francisco, Bay Area, and I've got one more partner who's also from India.
Great. Good luck with the project. I'll reach out to you on Telegram.
All right. Thanks, Peter. Take care.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, thanks up top. And we have a comment here from Sheldon about, he's reminding us about Indo DAX. That's a common Indo fix for digital USD, but I guess it's for Indonesia, right? And they also have like low costs. And yeah, guys, if you have more questions for Off-Top, please go ahead. If you want to contact with any of our speakers, you can ask us, the Platinum team, and also here in the chat, I put all the telegrams and emails. Okay, Sheldon says, no worries. It's also his competitor. They have Nepalese and other footprints. Okay, Off-Top, are you aware about this tool?
Yeah. So yes, it's perfect.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Sheldon. Yeah, guys, more questions, comments, whatever.
Yeah, just a quick comment that as you mentioned, Dubai has I think one of the largest Indian nationalities. Not just Indian, I think it's more than 250 nationals live there.
Yeah.
So that launching a product there, that would be also very successful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can finish for today. Thank you so much, Off-Top. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Nelson, Arnold, Annie. Yeah, Nelson also said that he misspoke maybe about the city.
If it wasn't clear, just to clarify, we don't have a open public group on Telegram. What we have is a group for our partners and our startups to hang out together and exchange value there as well. And then we have the community just amongst the startups. As of today, we don't have a public group where everybody can join, but add me on Telegram. I'm more than happy to onboard you and the whole core team as well onto the great stuff we're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Nelson. Thanks again to all the founders. It was amazing. Very interesting call today. Have a great evening. Wish you luck.
Thank you.